Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? Gabriel Santos here. And in today's video, I want to talk about relapse, specifically relapse with marijuana. And the overall purpose and intention of this video is to give you some insight, understanding as to how relapse is a normal part of this journey you're on, and how it can be used as an opportunity to grow, and then lastly, some tips and insights on how to transition out of relapse and being back on track. All right. So first of all, for those of you who don't know, I went through my own journey with marijuana addiction. Many of you do know that. And so I have so much experience as it pertains to relapses and things of that nature. All right. Most of my insights come from my own experience or the experience of working with others help get through their relapse phases. All right, so I'm not a doctor, and so take this advice and these tips, as you will. All right, so first off, I'm not a huge fan of using the term relapse. Um, for me, that term has a sense of victimhood to it. It also has a sense of judgment to it. And ultimately, that word just didn't empower me. And what I tell a lot of my clients and what I did for myself is if ever I decide to smoke weed, right, and clearly the goal is to stay away from weed, but if ever I relapse and I smoke weed, I take responsibility for it. And I don't attribute it to addiction. I don't attribute it to dependency. I take ownership of that choice. And that's important because it's easy to fall into a state of victimhood when it comes to addiction and dependency with marijuana. Oh, the cravings. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, and then in terms of judgment, when it comes to the word relapse, right? It's like, oh, I relapsed, right? And the word relapse in itself is a very commonly used term in the addiction space. I relapsed, I fucked up. I made a mistake. I reverted, right? And if anything, and this might be the definition of the word relapse, but what relapse really is when you, in my own way of saying it is when we revert to old habits, old ways of thinking, old ways of being, and old standards that we are no longer committed to, and that we're committed to being better. And so a relapse is maybe a reverting back to a stage you thought you had surpassed. But okay, point is, I don't use the word relapse. If I smoked, it's because I chose to smoke. And if I continue to smoke, it's because I'm choosing to smoke. Now, some people may disagree with this approach. It's just what has worked for me. Um, and it specifically has helped my clients reduce the guilt and shame that comes with breaking a commitment, right? Because that's kind of what it is you're breaking a commitment. And it happens, man. This is my second point here, is that it happens. It's not something we want, but it happens. Like, I want to put it into perspective something. How difficult it is to change. And just saying, like, it, in order to, especially with marijuana, in order to be someone who smoked every day, right? Wake and bakes, right after work, before every meal, before playing video games, after sex, before, right? In order to be someone that no longer does that ever, that is a tall order. And it requires a deep sense of commitment. And there's coping skills to be had and developed that may not be there. there's a self-awareness that has to be developed and maintained that may not be there. And so the point is that relapse happens, right? Breaking commitments, it happens. And making going left when you know you should go right, man, it happens. And to put it into further perspective, um, we have a lizard brain, right? Like our brains are 2 billion years old. They're designed for survival. And if you're someone who lacks coping skills and is used to having marijuana as a part of your day, then unless you have not just willpower, but a stable sense of why you don't want to do it and why you must not do it, then there's gonna, we're all susceptible, right? Because all it takes is just one little creeping thought of like, man, I just want to relax, right? Or man, I just want to hang out with my friends, or it's like, and we get present to these benefits. It's like, yeah, of course I want to do it, yeah. And what we often forget, right? Especially because, like, man, let's just acknowledge it. Like, man, life can get so stressful, sad, stale, boring, right? Depressing. And who wouldn't want to just smoke some weed, right? Of course. Of course. And so, given all that, right? When you're 3 months into whether it's a break or you're committed to quitting weed, right? And man, some days are just long, some weeks are just long, and you feel like, man, why not, right? Why not? Um, but now I want to transition to the next part of this video, which is how relapse can be an opportunity, right? And this is essentially what my path was, and what a lot of people's path are, especially the ones that I work with, but that I see just in general, which is the relapses are always this opportunity to understand why smoking weed just isn't what works for you anymore. And this message is only for people who can relate with what I'm saying. Okay, I know that a ton of people smoke weed and it's not a big deal for them. This video is not for you, right? Because for and every time I swore that I was done and broke that commitment, there was always a resurfacing lesson or a new lesson, right? And one of the most recent lessons, which is like 4 months ago now. Is it 4 months? Yeah, 4 months ago now. Was I really am better off without it, and as much as I love it and want to do it sometimes, like of course, and there's another thing. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging, like, man, I wish I could. Sometimes that helps, right? Because it's like you're acknowledging, like, man, I wish I could, but because of certain circumstances, because of whatever XYZ reasons, having it in my life hurts more than helps, and keeping it at a distance helps more than it hurts. And it and so the point is for you, um, take a look at what those pain points are. That's the opportunity, right? To get some contrast, right? Because one of the clients I'm working with right now, and this happens with the clients I work with, is they'll go through their stretches like on top of it, right? Doing their shit, staying disciplined, rocking it. And then the cravings start to creep up and they stay solid. But then, sometimes it gets the best of them. Like it gets the best of all of us, most of us. um, right? But it's always this opportunity to get present and learn something and move forward. And so I used to trip out really hard when people I work with, relapse, because it's like, oh no, that's not, they're failing or I'm failing, but it's a critical part of the journey. And the reality is you have to get to the point where you do it because you want to do it, you need to do it, you see why it's important for you to do it. Not because of what I say, not because of what some book tells you, but because you've made certain connections and you've had certain light bulb moments that allow you to really understand what you need to do, why you need to do it, and things of that nature. And so, you know, sometimes, but what I would say to kind of close this video off, what I would say is the basic blueprint here is that if you do relapse, one, take ownership of it. You're choosing to break the commitment. You're choosing, right? And that's fine. That is an option you can take, right? Remove the judgment. You're choosing. Okay. Second of all is to understand that it happens, man, and that it's hard, right? Like, meaning, dude, quitting substances that we abuse and that we depend on is hard. Just the sheer amount of discipline and consistency required, right? Because it's just not going to happen by accident. What's going to happen without you trying is nothing. And so you actually have to try. You actually have to show up. And you have to make a conscious effort for these changes. And so it's hard, right? Just to give you some perspective, like, man, it's hard. And then lastly is to see it as an opportunity for you to get present with the pain of living this way. And that pain over time, right? Especially if you're someone who, relapses multiple times. In my case, I relapsed like 1,000 times. But you continue to get present with this pain. And so when you're finally done with this phase again and you're ready to make new commitments again, you'll have a newly established understanding and a deeper anchor, right? More anchored in what you know is probably best for you moving forward. And as corny as it sounds, as long as you don't give up and you keep trying to figure this out and you're just, highs and lows, breakthrough, backwards, breakthrough. And then one day you're going to cross that fence for good. And that'll be the end of it. And you'll know when you're actually done. You'll know when you're actually done for you. But, you got to get there for you. And you got to do it because it truly makes sense for you. Like, truly to your core. And that it's okay, man. It's okay, man. You're going to make it. You're going to figure this out. You are figuring it out. Consider that, right? Even if you're in relapse, you are figuring it out. And so, all good, right? Anyways, I know that this channel has been lacking. It's been a lot of reflection for me in this last half year, really, but in the last month especially. And to get into some personal stuff, and I mentioned this a couple videos ago. Like, man, like it's not as simple as, oh, I don't smoke weed anymore, I'm automatically happy, fulfilled, and just rocking it. And that's not true, as I'm learning. It takes more than just not smoking weed to be rocking it. It's a critical piece. Don't get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. It's fucking massive. But it turns out I can still be a piece of sloppy shit even if I don't smoke weed. And so I'm learning new things. I'm going through my turns out that even when you don't have a weed dependency, you still go through ups and downs in life. And so in a lot of ways it feels like I'm like learning how to, deal with life and not having a weed addiction to deal with as well. So I'm learning to deal with life now, y'all. Anyways, guys, that's it. Appreciate you all. Appreciate your guys' attention, your viewership. Hopefully, something in this video found you well. And if you're someone who's interested in working one-on-one, whether it's for a marijuana addiction or to just better your life in general, feel free to contact me at g.santos28@gmail.com or hit me up on my Instagram. I will leave all relevant links in the description below. But yeah, man, I'm looking for additional clients to take on. I have some openings, and I'm looking to help people take their life to that next level, whatever that looks like for them. So if that resonates with you, if you're interested, reach out to me, and we will see what we can do. All right, guys. Love you all. Appreciate you all. I will see you all in the next video. Have a good one. Peace.